Thank you, everybody, for joining us for today's Men's College World Series press conference with Vanderbilt. We are currently joined by student athlete Kumar Rocker. Kumar, if you could give us a quick statement about what it means to you to be in Omaha right now, then we'll go ahead and move to questions.
It's something you play for at the start of the year, and a young group of guys this year. It's special to be here.
Thank you so much. For media, if you do have questions, please go ahead and use the raise hand function. We'll get to as many as we can. Let's go first to Robbie. Robbie, once you're unmuted, please identify yourself by your full name and affiliation.
Hey, Kamara, Robbie Weinstein from 24/7. My question is, how much have you studied Arizona's lineup so far? And for you, when you're preparing for a start, especially against, a really good opponent, how much do you focus on the scouting report and stuff like that versus just, worrying about what you need to do, with your own pitches and executing and all that?
Right. So, just in general, you hear a lot about Arizona's offense. So, it's a good offense, the hit first offense. And really, as a pitcher in my position, I guess, I go out there and play my game regardless. So that's what I'm going to do when it comes to time.
Thank you. Let's go next to Zach. Zach, go ahead with your question.
Mar, when you kind of look at Jack and kind of how he's progressed, what stands out, and how do you think, having a dad who's gone through all this has kind of helped him?
Right. Jack came out the gate hot, of course, and through the season, just with him every day, there's gonna be some ups and downs. And the biggest thing I've seen from him is when those starts, when it gets a little bit rough, he's been able to push through them now, and that's something he kind of had to learn on his own. Nobody can really teach you that, so that was the biggest thing I saw from him.
All right, we'll go next to Evan Bland. Evan, please go ahead with your question.
Hey, Evan Bland, Omaha World-Herald. Congrats on getting here, Kumar. I just had a question about the Major League Draft. In a typical year, that would have already occurred kind of midway through the postseason, and I know you don't have a basis for comparison, but how do you kind of weigh the pros and cons of that event being in July and allowing you to focus fully on this playoff run right now?
I think you just said it best. You're able to focus on a playoff run. And when it comes to the postseason, it's not anywhere close, even in the season, about you. It's about your team, and it's winning each game moving forward. And that's the most exciting part about being here.
You've had obviously a lot of teammates get drafted over the years. Can you think of some experiences when this draft has been in June, when they've had to make some big decisions and you guys are making runs, and just kind of how that balancing act usually works?
I guess you call it a balancing act, but really just, we took a day off for J.J. Bledays, did it in our catering room. It was just a special moment for him. It was a day for him. And after that, we moved forward, got back to work.
Thank you.
Let's go next to David White. David, please go ahead.
Hey, Kumar. This team this year is, Corbs has described it as maybe a focus group, quiet when you're in the classroom. But it seems like on the field, you're more emotional, outwardly emotional, maybe than the group 2 years ago that was kind of more of a quiet confidence team. Do you see it that way, kind of an emotional group this year, which is a good thing?
Yeah, 100% see it that way, and I think that's when we play our best. Emotion comes when you're young. This is a young group, and no one seems to really see that, and we're here right now. So, yeah, we're going to play how we want to play.
Thank you. Let's go next to Teresa Walker. Teresa, go ahead with your question.
Kumar, following up a little bit, working this year with Jack, you guys obviously were a little bit together last year before the pandemic hit, but how much has it helped having a pitcher like that to, do you share tips with each other, talk to each other, or do you go about your own processes separately? And the idea that, right now you guys could go 1 and 2 in the draft, how cool might that be?
It's awesome just experiencing this year with him, of course. And from a pitching standpoint and just learning from him, that guy knows everything. From his dad, coming from pitching bloodlines, there's things that you learn every day from just watching his bullpens to really, after his start, sitting back with him on the bench and just talking about the game, going over it.
And that possibility in July of maybe being the top 2 picks in the draft to help represent Vandy that way?
Yeah, that'd be a great representation of Vandy.
Thank you. Let's go next to Bill Steckis. Bill, go ahead with your question.
Hi, thanks. This is Bill, local Fox. I've known Tim a long time, and he loves his country. And when you guys put those green uniforms on to honor our veterans, what does that mean to you specifically?
For me personally, I mean, they do everything for us, and to have opportunity to represent it in something that I get to do every day, it's special. And I can't say this enough. When we come to that clubhouse on Sunday and those green jerseys are hung up, everyone just got a little bit more of a smile on their face, excited to wear them.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to a follow-up from David. David, go ahead.
Kumar, with the young team, do you think there's a different feel to this World Series than there was 2 years ago? Do you think experience matters here as much, or does it?
No, I think 100% matters. But with this team, like someone mentioned, I mean, the emotion, once these kids get a grasp on that and move forward and play with it, I think the best version of themselves is going to come out.
Thank you.
We still have time for a few more questions. If you do have a question for Kumar, please use the raise hand function and we will call on you. Give it a couple more seconds. And it looks like there are no additional questions. So Kumar, we really appreciate you taking time today to speak with us.
Appreciate you.
For the media, we will be joined shortly by head coach Tim Corbin. Just hang tight. If you do have a question for Coach Corbin, feel free to go ahead and raise your hand now.
Good, how you doing? Yeah. Yeah.
We are now joined by Vanderbilt head coach Tim Corbin. Coach Corbin, could you please give us an opening statement and then we will go to questions from the media.
Well, like everyone else, we're very excited to be here, very grateful to be here. It feels similar to 2011, at least for me, when we were part of opening up the stadium. But I feel like in a lot of different ways, we're rejuvenating the tournament and opening up the stadium again. So that's a great feeling for college baseball in general. But played some good baseball at the end, particularly at the end once we got out of the SEC. We played well during the course of the year, pretty consistent for the most part, but had a very difficult regional against Georgia Tech and certainly a very difficult super regional against East Carolina, two very good teams. So we got through it and are here, and just, as I said, grateful to be here.
Thank you, Coach. As a reminder for the media, if you do have a question, please use the raise hand function. When you are called upon, please state your full name and affiliation so Coach knows who is asking the question. Let's go first to David White. David, please go ahead with your question for Coach.
Hey, Coach. David White, davidhwhite.com. The kind of the theme, it seems like, for the series of this game between you and Arizona is Arizona bats versus Vanderbilt pitching, but Vanderbilt's been a good hitting team this year. What do you think you need to do offensively to counteract Arizona's offense?
Score more runs than them. I just think that, you know, everything's different. I mean, on paper, statistically, whether it's offense or pitching, things look a certain way, but they always seem to play out a little bit differently when you're here. or maybe in a tournament in general. But we just have to be able to slow them down enough, and we have to get comfortable in the batter's box in order to get some base runners and move runners. I think it's as simple as that. Yeah.
Coach, do you know if those two relievers for Arizona are available?
I don't know that, no.
Let's go next to Robbie. Robbie, please go ahead with your question.
Hey, Tim, Robbie Weinstein, 24/7. You know what, with Arizona's offense, what stands out to you maybe, especially about like the versatility and the many ways that they can, score aside from just, one trick pony or whatever? It seems like they have a lot of ways to be productive.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of run production throughout the lineup. I mean, if you look at all 9 guys, and you have to be inclusive of all 9 guys, because there may be 1, 2 guys that might be different than the rest, but they're part of the rest. If you start at the top and work down, I mean, it's very potent. The guy at the top's very good. Barry's not a freshman. He's not, typically not a 2-hole hitter. When you hit 17 home runs and drive 70-plus RBIs, that's not usually statistically what a 2-hole hitter looks like. But I think Jay's in a situation where someone's got to hit 2. They all produce. So you pile them up together. And the combination of left-handed hitting, some quality right-handed bats with strength, with average, with pretty good plus-minus, in terms of walk to strikeout. These guys are very difficult to X out. So it's just a potent offense that you see in these tournaments every so often, where a lot of 350 and above hitters.
Thank you. Our next question will come from John. John, go ahead.
Hi, Coach. John Nietzau with the Omaha World-Herald. I wonder what you see from Kumar Rocker in terms of his demeanor, his ability to handle kind of the spotlight. I would think that a lot of people know his name and probably his game because of just how much success he's had, but yet he's able to still produce at a high level, kind of with a target on his back. What has allowed him to do that, and what kind of demeanor does it take to accomplish that?
I think he keeps things simple, and I think he gets lost in competition. I think when you're competitive and you love the competitive arena, there's very little that's on your mind outside of that. And I think it's one thing to talk about things away from the white lines, but there's certain guys that once they get in between the white lines, it really doesn't matter what they've even talked about prior to that moment. It's just a matter of competition, and he competes very well.
Thank you. Let's go next to Zach Braziller. Zach, go ahead with your question.
Tim, what has really stood out to you the most about Jack and just his development? He was obviously a good prospect in high school, but he's really kind of exploded this year.
Consistency to what he's doing. He's the same every day, whether it's academically, socially, or athletically. He's low maintenance, mature, gets to the facility and it's full on go. I mean, he's wired to compete too every single day. Just works at what he's doing. He's got a strong passion for what he's doing. He's a high care level kid. And I think regardless of how he was spoken about, he's just thrown himself into the group. He loves competing for the team. He's very protective of the team. So much like Kumar in a lot of different ways, when you talk about the fanfare that each one of them get, they get lost in their team and they get lost in competition. And the other piece of that is sometimes when kids are talked about more, celebrated more, it might in a lot of different ways have a negative effect on your team unless those kids are inclusive. They're not exclusive. They're very inclusive. They include the other people on the team in every event of their lives, and I think that's why it's easy to hang on to both of them.
And Tim, when you obviously he's got the famous father and who obviously had a great career. How much do you think that's kind of factored into who Jack is and how he's kind of developed?
I mean, it's his father. I mean, you know, whether his father played baseball or not, his father's had an influence on him. But the thing about it is, you know, there's a lot of Major League Baseball players out there, and there's a lot of Major League Baseball players that have kids. And I would tell you that 90% of them never follow in their father's footsteps because either they've had enough of it, they've seen it, they might not have the same passion that their dad or mom do about it, so they move away from it. And Jack is good at what he does because he's passionate about what he does. He loves it. And he may love it because of what his dad did or how Lori and Al handled the baseball situation, but you have to really enjoy it and be engrossed in it, and he is. And whether that's a reflection of his dad and mom, you know, Jack can answer that question better than I can, but you can see that he's the best reflection of both of his parents.
All right, let's go next to Evan. Evan, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Tim. Evan Bland from the Omaha World-Herald. I was just curious, I mean, with the Major League Draft in July this year, how different has your experience been and the players' experience been when they're not, you know, worrying about being drafted or things of that nature, and they can focus entirely on this postseason run? Has that been a positive, or how different has the experience been compared to maybe recent CWS runs for you guys?
Yeah, it's very much a positive for the kids. You just don't want kids conflicted or split. That's not fair. That's not fair to kids in general, and no fault to anyone. It's just what it was. But it's not fair to a kid. It's not fair to the team that he's on, because that is a big day for a lot of kids. And the fact that they have to share mental interests with what they're going to do on the field versus what my future looks like, that's not what we should be doing to an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid. They should be able to compartmentalize what they're doing and pay attention to what they're doing. I mean, it's a team event. This is one of the greatest things they'll ever do. And that is even if they get to the big leagues. Every single big leaguer that's ever been to Vanderbilt that's played in College World Series has always come back to these moments, this tournament, as being the most important moment of their baseball life. And to have those interests split doesn't serve the kid or team very well. So it's a lot different just because you don't have to contend with it.
Can you share maybe an example or two over the years where, you know, a guy gets drafted and it's between maybe regionals and supers, or just kind of a situation where someone was maybe put in a tough spot, kind of like you're talking about, where they were conflicted?
Super regional, 2015 at Illinois. We get done playing, and 5 minutes later, we're on the third base line celebrating Dansby Swanson getting picked first on a phone. That's different.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go next to Stephen Thompson. Stephen, go ahead with your question.
Hey, Coach. I was wondering if you could talk a little about Troy Lenev, you know, what he did to earn some more playing time under the end, towards the end of the year, and what he's brought to your team so far.
Troy Lenev?
Yes, yeah.
What do you do to earn more playing time?
Yeah, it seemed like he got some more starts and some more at-bats in the month of May.
Yeah, he just played better. You play better, you get an opportunity to play. You don't play better, then someone else can play better and they'll play in front of you. He just played better. And that's really what it comes down to. It's kind of a simple thing, but the reason he did play better is because he stayed consistent with his investment habits, and he never went in a different direction. He never allowed not traveling on a couple initial trips move him in a direction of negativism. He just always stayed positive. He stayed very consistent. He's a mature kid. It took him a little bit of time, but you know, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him because that's a good example of what happens when you really pay attention to what you're doing and you don't look to the left, don't look to the right. You stay in your lane and do the best you can and understand that at some point in time things will work out, but it's not on your watch. It doesn't happen at the speed or rate that you want it to happen. It never does. It happens completely different. And he bought into that, and he's earned that right to be on the field.
Thank you.
Our next question will be from Bill Stekis. Bill, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, Tim, a few years ago, you wore those red, white, and blue uniforms every Sunday to honor our heroes. So I'm just wondering, when did you switch to the green? And your players really respond to that. It's important to honor our heroes. And what does that mean to you?
Well, it means a great deal because I didn't want to produce a uniform that was just gimmicky or different. I wanted it to have meaning, and every single color on that uniform, that green uniform, has meaning. It has meaning for the country. It's representative of the country. It's representative of service in general, not just soldiers, but service in general. It's got the school colors on there. It's got the state colors on there. So it's celebratory uniform because before they're Vanderbilt University student athletes, they're American citizens from different parts of the country, from different ethnic backgrounds, and it's their ability to jump into a group and blend those backgrounds into one another to formulate a stronger group. And I just think that the uniform is very representative of that. And we take a lot of time to explain it to them because I don't want them to think it is a gimmick. It's not camouflage. We're not soldiers. But I do think we're a good representation of the country, and we enjoy being able to do that.
And just to follow up on the red, white, and blues that you used to wear, how long did that go on? Because you've been doing this forever, Tim.
Yeah.
Do you remember when you stopped the red, white, and blue ones? Just for a history of the whole thing.
When did we stop them?
The red, white, and blue, because you did that forever before you went to the
Correct.
green.
Yep. This is the second year. It would have been the third year, but we didn't wear them in 20 because of the season. But this would be the third year that we've had the green.
And how long did you do the red, white, and blue? I guess that's what I should have asked.
Yep.
Wasn't it 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah,
longer?
it was actually 8 years.
8 years. Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go to a follow-up from David White. David, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, what is there a development on Tate Colick's status going into tomorrow night? Anything happening lately that's led you to think he might be effective tomorrow night?
He's getting better. He took BP on the field today. Took his ground balls, so it's kind of day to day. So we'll see how he feels tomorrow before. But he's on the roster and he's ready to jump in. But I would only do it if it felt like he's not going to be hindered by it and he can help the team.
Coach, do you have any left-handed pitchers on the roster?
Yeah, I think we brought some. We got Fisher, we got Owen, we got Berkwich. I think that's it. If I forgot one, some parent's going to be upset, but won't be first time, huh? Jesus.
Nice, good.
Yeah.
All right, we'll take a couple more questions before we let Coach get back to practice. Our next question comes from Robbie. Robbie, go ahead.
Hey, Tim, have you noticed a change is there a change in demeanor with the team when you actually get to Omaha, or is it just kind of the same old focus? I don't know if it, is a different feeling once you actually check out the field and, game day is almost here.
Yeah, I think good. They're not giddy. They're not weird. They're not posturing or acting, coming out of their personality. We talk a lot about that anyway, just in general. But no, I think there's a celebratory piece of this, of coming to Omaha. There's an off factor to it, like I said the other day, and you have to allow them to have that off factor. It's like going to Disney World for the first time as a little kid. You go there and your eyes are wide open to what you see, and after a few days, then you start to settle in and really enjoy the amusement park. But I think same cases here. It's all like, it's any special human event that any of us have. You want to go there and be able to take it in first, and then at a point in time that you got to transition into that player piece, which we will. We'll do that. Did it today, and we'll try to do it moving forward. Doesn't guarantee anything, but I think there's a comfort level of getting here and indulging in the emotion of it before you can start playing, and we do that.
All right, Coach, it looks like that was our last question. So thank you again
Okay.
for your time today and for joining us, and wishing you all the best of luck.
My pleasure. Thank you all. I appreciate the questions.
Thank you. And for the media that have joined us today, you can find a recording of this press conference in the NCAA Digital Media Hub at www.ncaa.veritone.com. Thank you all for joining us.